Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Jatin Yadav. I'm the USA Unit Secretariat Manager at the Water and Energy for Food Grant Challenge, and also the moderator for today's session. I would like to welcome you all to V4F, which is the short form of Water and Energy for Food Grant Challenge, to our session at the World Water Week 2022, titled Scaling Water, Energy, Food Innovations Through End User Financing for Climate Adaptation. Before going into the panel, I'll just update some housekeeping rules. So if you want to ask questions, please use the chat function on the Pathable platform. And if you want to learn more about a V4F program and the speakers that are there on the panel today, our session description contains links to each innovator represented. And so to get started, we are going to show you a quick video about our program, Water and Energy for Food, and what we actually do.
Did you know that food production uses 30% of the global energy supply? That agriculture consumes 70% of the world's freshwater resources? But that's not all. Farmers face many more challenges that negatively affect their food production and livelihoods. Climate change, for example, increases water stress and decreases soil productivity. To tackle these global challenges, the international multi-donor initiative Water and Energy for Food, We for Food, sustainably scales innovative solutions to meet the challenges in the water, energy, food nexus. Promotes climate and environmental resilience and biodiversity through the sustainable, holistic management of natural resources and ecosystems. Increases food production along the value chain through a more sustainable and efficient usage of water and energy. Increases income for base of the pyramid women and men in both rural and urban areas. We for Food operates through regional innovation hubs around the world. The hub's main activities are identifying innovators, providing technical assistance in general business skills, marketing, and investment readiness, bringing together innovators, financiers, and investors, engaging with policymakers to advocate for improved enabling environments that allow innovations to grow and prosper, and providing trainings to local actors, such as smallholder farmers, development practitioners, or research institutions. Through these activities, we can impact nearly 1 million farmers using innovations that save water and energy with every usage, and help them to produce more food, which in turn increases their income. To learn more about Water and Energy for Food, visit our website, follow us on social media, and subscribe to our newsletter.
Great. I hope that video tells you in a couple of minutes about what we do. And before going into the panel, we would like to engage with our audience with a poll question, because we are interested in learning what you know about the topic and your experience with it. So let's have the question on the screen. So if you cannot see, the question is, have you heard of end user financing? And while we are introducing the speakers, we would ask you to head over and fill out the poll question on the platform. So moving on to the introduction of our esteemed panel today, we have innovators, we have implementers, we have technical staff at our regional innovation hubs who help the innovator on a day-to-day basis in achieving their goals. And first we'll start with Anissa from Sovit.
Hi everyone, and thank you to We4F for hosting us. So SOIT is specialized in agri-tech solutions that use remote sensing and satellite data to provide decision support tools for farmers. We launched in 2018 and now have offices based out of Casablanca, Paris, Tunisia, and Dakar. Our solutions are delivered through a mobile app, and we provide real-time data that helps farmers optimize irrigation, yield quality, fertilization, as well as predict optimal harvest dates and lets them monitor their crop health. Our solutions are unique in that they are adapted to a farm's characterizations, and they take into account different constraints a farmer could have, such as limited water resources for irrigation. And in addition to our digital solutions, we also provide farmers with IoT tools, such as capacitative probes, weather stations, water meters, pH probes, and even GPS trackers for farm vehicles. So our end goal is to bridge the existing data gap within the African agricultural industry and to help scale up yield qualities and food production. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Anissa. We'll go to Pierrette from Finel.
Thank you all, and thank you for this, for introducing us. Finel is a financial institution, member of Cofina Group. We are dedicated to women financing and women financial inclusion, entrepreneurship promotion, and also financing. So to be able to achieve this goal, which is part of the sustainable goal, we also understand that it's important to provide financial services to women in terms of access, to also give them training on basic financial courses and like a saving, like credits, and also value chains too, to give them also access to markets, and most importantly, access to financing at the end of the way. So we also very present in agriculture sector, because simply because women, active women in Côte d'Ivoire, for example, represent 70% of active force in agri sector. We have a focus on cassava, on also some rentable production, where we have a large number of women active. So this is what we're trying to do on a daily basis, and having impact on both environmental aspects and also social issues like scholarship, like education, health, and environmental. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Pierrette. Lovely to have you here. Antra from Onergy, if you can introduce yourself to the audience, please.
Good evening, and thank you, WE4F, for giving us this platform. So Poonam Energy, I'm representing from Kolkata, India, and I have been associated with this organization for past 9 years, and have been heading operations and commercials. So a brief on my company is this was established. Onergy was established in the year 2009. Basically to address the significant gap which was noticed in the rural areas in the energy supply situation. So we initialized in providing solar lighting solutions to the off-grid villages across eastern region of India. And we stepped in providing other decentralized solar solutions such as microgrids and rooftop systems. Since 2018, we focused our promoting the solar water pumps to the BOP population and smallholder farmers. So capitalizing on the strong network and deep understanding of the rural population that has been developed since working in the energy access over the past decade. Our core focus was for driving consistent demand in developing affordable system, facilitating bank financing, small farm orientation of technology, and popularizing micro irrigation. Solar pumps are combined with drip and sprinkler system, which is ideal for horticulture farmers to improve their productivity and reduce the water usage. So we have also piloted a sensor-based automated drip irrigation, which helped reduce further the water usage by 25% as compared to the conventional drip system. So we have created a transformative impact by adopting models such as water as a service and forming water user groups. So this has been our story so far. Over to you, Jatin. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Antara. Great to have you here. Moving to Tim van der Linden from Akista.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tim van der Linden, country manager for Akista, based in Malawi. Akista is the name is a combination of aqua and question. So you can all guess that we are started from an irrigation company. We are famous for the Basha pump. Basha means rain in Nepalese language. It's an hydropowered water pump. You put them in a river. Because of the flow of the river, it rotates. It can pump the water to the farmland. The Basha pump has some sister pumps at the moment as well, called the Basha Mini, for example. We implemented the pumps in India, in Nepal, and in Malawi. We noticed that for farmers, purchasing a pump is quite expensive to buy it once off. Payments in installments got also some struggle. So we came up with the farm incubator model, whereby we are farming together with the farmer. We're using our Basha pump for sure as one of the elements, but we're also providing seeds and market linkage. We integrated that since last year. So we're in our second year of the farm incubator model. So far, so good. And for sure, also on the irrigation side, we still keep on developing our pumps. Over to you, Jatin.
Great, thanks, Tim, for joining. I know you're on field and there's a bit of network issue, but thanks for taking out time and be here. And then one of our last innovators of V4F, Saad Macaron from Green Essence.
That's you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, Saad Macaron from Lebanon. My company is Green Essence Lebanon. We are in the energy sustainability business since 2006. We help our customers to get rid of their energy expenses up to zero. One special thing about farmers in Lebanon is their access to water is very difficult. In most areas, they have to pump water from deep underground. This makes it very costly energy-wise. In many of our customers report to us that energy as a share of their product cost sometimes amounts to 30 or 40%. Which makes energy for farming very important. And this is where we come in. Since 2014, we have been helping customers get rid of their energy cost. In some cases, 200%. So we use solar systems to help them pump the water out for their irrigation using drip or other efficient techniques. Yep, and we have been successful in approaching big and small customers. Also, agro businesses who use energy to process food, to package food, to store for cold storage as well. Yeah, that's about Green Essence and what we're doing. Thank you, Atin.
Great, thanks, Ad, for the introduction. And then last but not the least, we go to one of our Regional Innovation Hub member, Irene Boghtadi.
Thank you very much, Jatin, and thank you, We4Food, for this amazing opportunity. And I'm truly honored to be with part of this panel and with such groundbreaking innovators. So my name is Irene Boghdadi. I'm the head of the entrepreneurship and MSME services at Chemonix Egypt, and I'm also a sustainable energy consultant with the firm. Chemonix Egypt is an engineering and management consulting firm that's been operating since 1992, and we really focus on four main sectors in our services: sustainable energy and resource efficiency, sustainable agriculture and food production, water, wastewater treatment, irrigation, also waste management and recycling. And we have the honor to be part of a consortium that's led by the Beritech Foundation, managing the We for Food MENA hub, as Jatin mentioned. And as Chemonix, we are responsible for, as Chemonix Egypt, we are responsible for the technical assistance program and also the end user financing services to both the innovators and also other supporting entities interested in designing products, end user financing products. Thank you, Jatin.
Great. Thanks, Irene. So yeah, before we ask some questions on end user financing to our panelists, innovators, I think let's see the results of the audience poll that we did. Okay, so almost 45, more than 50% have said yes and would like to learn more about it, and 45% have said no. So hopefully by the end of this session, the blue 45 turns into a lower number. And now I think I'll move to the first part of our panel discussion. In this, I'll first ask Irene to quickly lay out in an easy manner what end user financing is. Irene?
Yes, thank you, Jatin. So, end user financing is as the lingo says, it's really financing for end users, and the panelists have already hinted to some of the solutions that they offer that may not be part of their core technological offer, but includes a financing piece to support with the adoption. So if we were to split, this big fancy word of end user financing, the way we see it as the We for Food program, as the MENA hub, is end users are really entities or individuals that are benefiting from a water and or energy saving solution. And the benefit could be in the form of increased water and energy savings, as Saad mentioned earlier, material savings, and which ultimately also leads to increased agricultural productivity, or increased income or increased savings. So this is the end user piece. And we at the We for Food, we typically focus mainly on farmers and their families, and also on the agro-food processors, with a main focus on smallholder farmers. So typically such individuals and such entities, they what we've seen, at least in the regions in which the We for Food is operating in, is that such end users really understand the value of water and energy saving solutions, because they realize the benefits in quite a short period of time, probably less than 3 or 4 years. But they typically face challenges in adopting such solutions. And the main two challenges, which actually most of the innovators on this panel are catering to, are centered around the high capital cost of most water and energy saving technologies. And the second bucket is really the collection, the payment collection. So even if they can pay for it, for the companies or the organizations to start to collect these payments, it becomes a challenge. So the first is really most water energy saving technologies revolve around high capex solutions, whether it's biogas, whether it's efficient irrigation, whether it's hydroponic systems, whether it's solar PV pumping, etc. They're usually quite high capex, high capital expenses for most smart farmers, who are usually smallholder farmers, to be able to purchase or to be able to adopt, even if they do understand the benefit, which we've seen is usually the case. And the reason why it's difficult is because they typically don't have access to the financing mechanisms needed to fund these systems. It's either they don't have bank accounts or they don't have credit track records in the financial system. And when they do have the cash, this cash is usually used as a safety net, for health insurance for their families, etc. They most likely will not put it in a water or energy saving technology. So that's the first challenge. And the second challenge is collection. So because the farmers are not connected to formal financial systems in many areas of the world, it's different in different regions, but it makes them difficult to pay for such solutions, to pay the innovators on the panel, for example, for such solutions, because digital payments are not very common in some parts of the world, and also because they're not connected to the formal financing system. So what typically happens, which you will see in just a few minutes, is that most organizations offering such solutions, such water and or energy saving solutions to their end users, they end up offering some kind of financing or payment collection facilitation solution to be able to access this huge market of smallholder farmers and to be able to help them deploy these solutions. So these financing instruments could range from providing installment plans, as was mentioned earlier, or some kind of other payment facility that is aligned with the farmer's cash flow. It could be digital payment collection. It could be leasing these high capital cost systems, but it could also be in the form of supporting end users and with technical assistance and services to help them to apply for these for commercial loans or microfinance pools, for example, that already exist in their market.
Great.
So really, this is it in a nutshell. But of course, we will concretize some of these concepts with innovators in just a few minutes. Over to you, Jatin.
Thanks, Irene. So can we say anything that helps smallholder farmers adopt the groundbreaking solutions that our innovators are making? And I'll correct, anything legal. So yeah.
And financial.
And sustainable. Yeah.
And
so
sustainable.
Great. So moving on now, let's hear from our innovators, and I'll pose a specific question. You all have introduced yourself and your organization, so I would want you to get direct into two-part question to each of the innovator, and I'll get to that order. So why did you decide to integrate end user financing in your model? And once you decided, how did you go about it? How did you implement it? So I know it's a long journey. You'll have to sum up in 2 to 3 minutes, but it would be great each of you shares that experience. And I'll go in the reverse order this time. So I'll start with Saad from Green Essence.
Thank you, Yatin. It started in 2019, the economic crisis in Lebanon. The banking system failed. The banks took the money from everyone and disappeared. The money disappeared overnight. Suddenly, we didn't have money, and our customers, our farmers, didn't have money for solar. We were doing very well before 2019. Many people were eager to put solar systems on their farms. They had access to subsidized interest loans, but suddenly all this disappeared, and someone had to do something about it. We were in the middle of this. We are located in an agricultural area. We have many farmers as customers already, and many farmers had offers from us and from other companies, but they were missing just financing. So we had to take this step. We had to borrow capital from our friends, from our relatives, to help these farmers set themselves up. At the same time, when this was happening, also imported food was becoming more expensive. So there was a trend or a motive for farmers to produce because they knew they were going to sell their products easier in the near future. And this is really the biggest motive. So on one hand, the economic crisis in Lebanon, money disappeared, banking disappeared, loans disappeared, and on the other side there was a growing need for locally produced goods. Back to you, Yatin.
Great, thanks, Saad. Tim, would you want to share why did you feel the need for end user financing and how did you go about it? What was your model? And so on.
Yes, thank you, Yatin. As said before during the introduction, our Basha pumps they have very long durability, approximately 10 years. But there's also a cost matched with that, which is for a smallholder farmer where we're working with just too expensive to purchase at once. An option could there be that a farmer takes a loan from example a bank, but with interest rates between 30 and 40%, it will never be suitable for a farmer. So we tried later on to pay with installments, but we also noticed that smallholder farmers do find it very difficult to save money, and they still rely then a lot on a successful harvest. And with a successful harvest, yes, you need irrigation, but there's so many more inputs you need to have a successful harvest and to get a good price for your harvest. And that's why we decided to take the risk on it and create a farm incubator model, whereby we have more control over the end users and also over the income of the end user.
Okay, so Tim, it's like the farmer pays by produce.
Yeah, the farm pays by produce. We provide the market linkage, and we pay the farmer out of the market linkage. So it is very important for us that we are very transparent to the farmer, that the farmer knows exactly what comes in. But we collect the produce, we sell it to our market linkage, which is a better paid price, sometimes even double than what a farmer can find on the local market. And then we provide the cash flow back to the farmer. That's how it works.
Great, and thanks for sharing, Tim. Very interesting model, pay per produce for companies looking to expand through and that have market access actually. So
what we noticed a lot is if a company like Akista is approaching a potential market buyer, you get a better price than when a local farmer tries to do that. So yeah.
It's the leverage that you all can provide than an individual farmer. So yeah, great point. Thanks, Tim. So now moving on to Antra from Energy. Let's hear what her challenge was and what her model is.
Yeah, so as I was explaining that we had our own focus of, getting an affordable, we have already decided that focus for driving consistent demand for developing affordable system. So once we stepped into this particular model, we realized that the irrigation system has been a technology which is considered really risky and expensive, and which is highly subsidized. So what we have started promoting, what we have seen is that the farmers, they are lacking the purchasing power, and this has been the biggest challenge that we did face when we stepped into this particular model. So we, carrying the challenge together, we countered this by promoting innovative business and financial models, making solar pumps affordable. Of course, deploying innovative technology, keeping climate smart agriculture, achieving more crop per crop. So what we did is we did a separate and dedicated first loss corpus, which has been set up to support in financing the farmers. We got tied up with private banks and government PSUs banks also, so that we can facilitate the loan for them. We got empaneled with government entities so that they can be the solar irrigation system could be subsidized. So this is how we gradually, paved a path in integrating end user financing into our business model. And until now, it has been successful. Yeah, there are risks, but we have to go along with it. We have backed it with the first loss guarantee that we have created, which is actually giving a guaranteed corpus for the farmer in case if there are risks and if there is any default. So this is how it is. We have done the model and how it is still going on.
Great, thanks, Antara. So from pay-per-produce to first loss guarantee, so different ways of helping our smallholder farmers take on these technologies and become more climate smart, as you said, Antara. So moving to Pierrette now. Pierrette, if you want to tell your story, why was the need? I think it's very clear from your model, but yeah, we would love to hear from you.
Okay, thank you once again. For a financial institution, financing an activity, a specific sector required, first of all, productivity, and also making sure that the small user, the end user, which in this case are mostly small and medium farmer, get access to affordable water at a very cheap price of energy. The cost of the energy is very important in this sector, mainly in rural sector where we don't have access to electricity connection. So solar system and all the energy source which are affordable to ease water addiction like irrigation is the key to enable the small farmers to use those technology and also secure the productivity and creating value. So this is the starting point for us. Now, getting access to financing, it's also another point. And this point, the solution, the financing solution comes from us, from the value chain. What we have experienced is taking individually those farmers, it's not secure in terms of financing. So the solution that we provide is to create a value chain network around, let's say, a transformer, for example. If I take the example of cashew, or also for cassava transformation, we have a unit plant where around this unit plant, we have cooperative. And around this cooperative, we can reach the small farmers. So it's much more easier for us to reach those final users, to provide them the solution and the technology through let's say the strong man of the chain, because this strong man, this institution is able to give them first access to sell the product, which create access to market, and also secure the source of repayments. As Irene said, collection is also key to secure the financing. And in rural area, digital banking is something that is, it's not really adaptable to this area. So two things, working on sustainable and very, let's say, affordable electricity solution like solar, for example, is the key to secure the source of payment, the profitability of those small farmers and middle farmers. And also working on the value chain, around the value chain is the second key for us to give, to provide access to financing. It makes it more easier because in terms of financial institution, we are much more secure because we have the source of repayments. We also have the access of the market. So we know that the production will be sold to a strong partner. And most of the time you have partnership with those transformer or unit plant to make sure that the product will be sold at a good price, at a good quantity, at a good time. So those two are the key for us to finance farmers and user, and also partnership with innovators is also key to make sure that we have also the technical assistance, the training, and also the maintenance of all the solution provided, because most of the innovation solution needs to be updates, needs to also to be maintained because this is the main assets of the farmers. And we need to make sure that we have strong partnership in front of with us to support sustainably the farmers, particularly when they benefit financing from a financial institution. So for just to close on this question, financing women, as I said in introduction, is our key focus. Maybe I would just open the door for the main issue that maybe we face, if you allow me. In this area, the main issue that we face is that most of the time in rural area, women do not own the farm. They work like wives, like daughter, but they don't own that because they don't inherit lands. So they don't have in terms of security, in terms of guarantee, they don't have the assets to provide. So we also have over mechanism to enable them to access to the financing. So those are the key points I would like to share with you.
Great, no, very important. I think it's not just the money, but money with market access as well as awareness on empowerment. When you combine all these things, then you go towards success. So thanks, Pierre. Thanks for that. And last but not the least, I'll move to Anisa from Soviet. Anisa, why did you feel the need to integrate end user financing, and how is it going?
So for us, the main reason was it was very critical to our expansion strategy. We were doing a really good job with big agricultural companies, food production companies, but we found that we were having a hard time reaching smallholder farmers. And in Morocco, farmers are quite different. You could be dealing with a well-educated farmer to an illiterate farmer whose family has been farming for generations. And this type of profile is very highly mistrusting of financial institutions, of technology, and of change. And many times when onboarding these type of farmers, we were blocked by cultural barriers and just in terms of trying to explain to them the technology and having them trust that the technology is not replacing them. It's not replacing someone's job. It's just there to support their decisions and give them more data. That was very tricky for us. And also accessing these farmers, getting the information to them was very difficult. And during COVID, a majority of these smallholder farmers were the ones that were touched. And after that, they were facing high energy prices, high water prices, and little access to water. So that was the opportunity for us to really find a way to target them. And especially that they're in rural areas, so they tend to not have access to different types of financing. So that was our reason to turn to end user financing. And what we found that worked best was value chain financing. So through big companies that would purchase the solution for farmers that they were contracting. So for example, a company that we did this with was Danone. And we had a great experience with them where they purchased the solution for a few of the farmers that were contracted to produce for them. And then we were able to continue later on with the farmers directly because they quickly understood that it was a successful solution and that it would really increase their market reach, their yields, and especially improve their production quality. And another way we did it was through third-party paying. So we partnered with regional offices who have access to farmers from their region. They have the power to unite them and get access to and give information to them, as well as different types of technologies. So they'll purchase a stock of technologies and kind of transmit it to them for them to use. That was also a very successful partnership. And the third way we did it was in-house financing, so renting or leasing for our IoTs. We launched that right after COVID, and we found that it was also very successful with the smallholder farmers. That's it for me. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Anisa. I think it's always better to take risks from someone else's money. So I think that's also one of the things. I think thanks all of the participants to answer the first part of the panel. We'll go to the next part, but before that, I think we have one audience question, and I'll just read out and nominate one person. So I think the question submitted is, are we also impacted by government fiscal policy to avail the needed end user financing to your customers, right? I think Antra from Energy, you talked about working with government. So I'll just quickly go to you. And then if someone else also on the panel wants to answer, please feel free to speak after Antra.
I mean, I just mentioned that this has actually helped us in the government policies, which has actually given a boost to the agriculture, bringing in some subsidized back-end schemes, which has not only, reduced the burden, paying off the bank loans, but also, that has made more sensible, because what we are talking here is a proper documentations or the collaterals that banks actually require. At certain point of time, this kind of schemes actually helps those marginal or small farmers who are yet to develop or understand the banking system and get customized according to their needs and land holdings and whatever documents they are required. So being into the agricultural sector, they already have an upper hand in the Department of Agriculture here. If I'm talking on the point of like in Eastern India. So basically they are facilitated with the credit limit also from Kisan, some schemes for Kisan, credit cards, and there are a lot of other facilities which has been done or motivated by the government schemes. So definitely this is one of the point which has actually reduced the burden on the small scale holding farmers. So yeah, they do a lot of a big part also in developing that portion or helping the small scale farmers or marginal farmers.
Great, thanks, Antra. Anyone else from the panel would want to speak on this? I'll wait for 5 seconds. Okay, if not, I think I'll ask one of my questions, which after the panel, which I prepared. I think if I'm an innovator, right? So how do I develop this end user financing strategy? So I asked why you felt the need, and then what you did. But there is a stage in between when you're thinking of integrating it. How do you strategize? Who do you go to? What kind of things you think about, right? So I'll go to Saad from Green Essence. If you can quickly tell, how did you put this strategy together before going to the implementation?
Thank you, Yatin. For us, it was more common sense. We were not prepared for this at the beginning. It was, we had to know about the farmer personally. We had to know that he was not going to default on any loan, and we had to put aside some money that we knew if we lost, it wasn't going to hurt too much. So these were the things. We were not organized at all. Of course, later we joined We4F, and We4F took us through many trainings to organize this and structure this and make sense of the numbers more thoroughly and more carefully. But yes, at the beginning, it was just common sense. This guy, he lives from his land, and he puts his time and his all his effort, and he already has a market, and he needed the help. He was gonna get it from somewhere else if we did not come in. So that's how we picked those those customers very carefully. This is the most important thing. Yeah.
So you're focused on smallholder farmers, but thought like entrepreneurs. So cut the risk and give them the money so that they can buy the product. So great.
Yeah.
Great strategy when you don't have a strategy, right? Okay. So I think now we'll move to the second panel. And before that, we'll quickly go to another audience poll. So let's engage the audience in a new question. That would be, if you work with end user financing, how effective has it been to your organization? So please check the platform and select your answer just as you did in the first audience poll. And then the answers would be shared after we end the second part of the panel today. Okay, so moving on to the second part. So this is where I'll ask a focus question to one or two innovators. And the first one is, has end user financing been critical to the growth of your organization, right? And how? And Saad, I'll come back to you again before asking some questions to other panelists. Saad, can you hear me? You may be on mute.
Sorry, come again, Yatin. I didn't hear your question.
Yeah, so has end user financing been critical to the growth of your organization? You've told that you did it because you needed it, but how has it helped in your growth? Has it accelerated? What potential does it have to accelerate your growth more in future?
Yes, unexpectedly, it was very good for our business. We did not imagine this at the we were fixing a problem with the little money we had, but then soon after customers climbed us, learned we were having there for their competition. So we had more requests for help with financing, and we also were well connected with friends around us, and later V4F to help us raise even more capital and grow even further. And it has been like a loop. So we have more money, we help more people, then more people come and ask for money for facilities, and then we go and look for more help. So it's a big cycle, and we grew about maybe ×4 in 2 years. In the last 2 years, we are 4 times what we were in 2019. So yes, it has been a good journey, tough journey, and especially because they help us with the connections with the financing institutions. We're trying to get more money at low interest rates so we can provide the same to farmers. We have made better deals with our suppliers because we increased the quantity we buy. So yes, we're putting things together in a much better way now, all because we started doing end user financing 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Back to you, Yatin.
Great, thanks, Saad. Okay, moving quickly in the interest of time again, but this is one of the key questions, and the impetus of this question and the responses should not be forgotten. And I think the key is that how important is it to integrate gender in end user financing model? And if you have you been able to overcome certain gender norms or barriers to support women smallholder farmers? So this is a very focused question. I'll start with Pierrette, if you can shed some light on how you have done that, and then Antara, we'll move it over to you.
Okay, thank you again. As I previously mentioned, one of the key issues of financing women in agri sector is the fact that they don't really have assets solid assets like loan, which is like land, which is the first when you are operating in like a farmer. So, and also in rural area, you will not be able to get car and other assets that are tangible and which can support and be considered like a guarantee. So we didn't stop at this point because we need to do something. And one of the solutions and what the initiative we are implementing is to say, okay, if you don't have the land, let's move from production to transformation. And we are able now to have them around cooperative, working and getting more focus on transformation, which is also part of the same value chain. But at this point, they still need equipment. They still need machine to transform the goods. And it's even if they're still in the production area, they can also move and get more value into the transformation. Because if we stock at a production level, we'll not be able to finance them because they will not be able, they are not the owner of the plant. So if you give them the financing at a certain point, they will be moving, they will not be able to reimburse, or they'll not be able to use it efficiently. So especially for women, we are giving them now more focus on the transformation, even if the first-hand transformation, it provides a lot of value financially speaking, and we can finance equipment, and those equipment can self-guarantee themselves. So this is one initiative that we start, and we are trying to find solution all through the value chain support to enable them to get finance and use the equipment, the new technology available on the market. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Berit. Antara, your views on it?
Yes, I mean, it is definitely a very important aspect with the current sector in agriculture, because you see, the rural women are basically the major stakeholders in the growth of agriculture right now, the new India. So basically acknowledging and mainstreaming of the rural woman, via, ensuring access to resources is one of the very key point that what we anticipate that this could, bring out the right kind of, integration in the end user financing, ownership rights, skill development. So these are the two very important focus point which will improve the agricultural productivity, help in bringing the empowerment within the woman, within women. So as we can see that, large population within farmers, the land holding is mostly with the man of the family, where, any financial institution will provide loans or financial assistance to the landholder only. And we have seen that the bank being very reluctant in providing any kind of financial assistance to the women farmers for not having any collaterals. So with the time, what women are being entrusted with more roles and responsibilities in the agricultural sector, though the status of their authority and decision-making ability still, offers immense scope of improvement still. So we are exploring other opportunities in energy for bringing in the approach for gender integration, financing through rural entrepreneurship model, where women must be an integral part of the development, not only as a beneficiaries, but also in the decision making and being the agent of change. Also, an integral part of the project will be in the form of joint liability groups, which will create the shift of the women farmers from the entrepreneurial model to group model, which will lead to a better penetration for bank financing. So this is the importance, like why we should integrate.
Okay, thanks, Antara, and also Peret for shedding this important light from your experiences. I think that helps understand the context as well as give us some next steps to think about. So moving on, in the interest of time, I'll ask my other panelists to take 2 minutes at the max to answer the next few questions. So the next question is, what are the biggest risks to watch out for while integrating any end user financing model, right? And I'll go first to Anisa from Sovit. What were the biggest risks that you faced and you would ask others to watch out for?
I think some of the biggest risks were in terms of when looking at the in-house financing, leasing and renting, was the ability for the farmer to continue his payments, and what would happen in the situation where his payments would stop. So our repossession policies. In that case, that it could be very detrimental to a company. I mean, repossessing an asset that may be supporting the livelihoods of the farmer plus his family could be, I mean, very catastrophic to a company's public image, and also it would be a difficult decision to make. So I think in terms of that, that's a risk that we had to take into account. And it taught us to really analyze the farmer's profile before going into such a deal. And then something else that we noticed was our ability to develop new areas of skills and expertise. So to be able to implement this type of financing, for example, to be able to implement it effectively, and to make sure that there was a competent enough team that could take care of these types of renting and leasing contracts. And then in terms of partnerships, what we found was good was that it was able to get us a bigger reach in the market that we were looking for. However, and this goes back to develop new areas of skills and expertise, we needed to make sure there was a constant human contact, even once the farmer implemented the solution in their farm and was using it successfully. A lot of the farmers still need that human contact to continue using the solution. So we need to make sure that our teams were available for that, and were able to assist farmers in a impactful way. That's it for me.
Great. Thanks, Anisa. Tim, your experience on what are the biggest risks to watch out while integrating any financing models?
Thanks, Jatin. I hope the connection is a bit better than earlier on. We are very close to the answers with Anisa. Yeah, the highest risk is that you have to make sure that it's affordable to farmers, and that the model is also designed so that you can constantly follow up with your farmers from an operational perspective and also on a margin perspective. So you want to reduce the default rate. You want to keep them so low as possible. So you have to understand your farmer. You have to design it on a way that the farmer is comfortable with what you're doing. And you really have to listen to the farmer as well. If you don't do that, then a farmer will in the beginning say, yes, I will participate, but at the end, he'll drop out very early. And that's what you want to avoid.
No, completely agree. I think that's what we've seen, that it's very important to keep the default rates low as an innovator, because that would be detrimental to your cash flow. And I think that's why you all make that point. So I would just want to underline that. And one of the last questions to Irene from our V4F MENA Hub. So Irene, we've heard from innovators, their challenges, how they implement it. So what is like V4F's plan or approach to helping innovators integrate end user financing, and some of them who are already integrating, how do you support them to strengthen their efforts in making their products reach smallholder farmers?
Thank you, Jatin. So as Saad hinted to, earlier, I mean, Saad had been experimenting with different end user financing mechanisms with Green Essence probably for the last 2 to 3 years, and then we came in to kind of put a structure to it and refine it with using deep technical assistance support. So with entities like Green Essence who have already been piloting, and actually most innovators working in the water energy food nexus do have some sort of end user financing mechanism, whether it's even if it's informal. So one of the support packages is deep technical assistance to really develop that business model and the financing instruments. And this could also be packaged with networking and partnership opportunities. Then there's also the innovators who already have existing end user financing mechanisms. And in that case, we offer them ad hoc support. So it's a series of one-on-one sessions over a couple of weeks where we may refine the end user financing model, the payment conditions, etc., but also connect them to a financing entity, a financial institution that could also help them scale up these existing mechanisms. And we also work closely with financial institutions, and actually within the next year, we've already identified 3 financial institutions in the MENA region who are very, very interested in developing specialized financial instruments. So we expect to be able to provide deep technical assistance to at least 1 financial institution within the next year and launch at least 1 specialized financial product in the MENA region. And we also support with the resources, and this is as on an international level, the We for Food program is also has also launched just today, and Jatin may give us the good news. A very, very comprehensive end user financing guide that is very globally focused and actually also very bottom up. So it's built from real case studies that the We for Food program and historical programs have implemented. So it's a very, very practical guide for innovators, but also for different types of stakeholders to be able to design, deploy, and scale their end user financing mechanisms. So I'll leave the floor to Jatin to give us some more news on this.
Great, thanks, Irene. And we will come to it at the end. But before that, one important questions to all of the 5 innovators present here. And this is rapid fire. So you'll take like 10 to 15 seconds and then move on. And the question is, what support do you need for yourself, your organization to be more successful in integrating end user financing? And this support, you can say, I need this support from any stakeholders that you think about, be it policy, be it financial institution, governments. So rapid fire, what support do you need for your end user financing model to be more successful? And I'll start with Pierrette.
Okay, very quickly, and definitely we need more resource to train the women, because training information is the key for financing. So my request goes to all the financial institutions, donors, and government to provide us more resources to finance education for women. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Pierrette. Tim.
Thank you, Yatin. We need more support on rules and regulations, especially on the government. The way we provide the payments, the way we want to have our model, it's new, and it creates sometimes chaos between farmers and us, a lot of questions where we have no way where to go. Yeah, so it will be good if this clears on higher level how to deal with innovative payment methods.
Great. Anissa?
For us, it would be a better loan regulatory environment where financial institutions are able to make loan decisions based on real data about the farmer and his real life production value, as well as estimate his internal rate of return. and also financing for capacity building to be able to increase digitalization within smallholder farmers and rural areas.
Great, very to the point. Andra.
Yeah, Jatin. So depending on our model, so it's like partnership with the banks or deployment at scale through MFIs for soft funding, to increase the FLDG corpus for us, and also, creating awareness of the products and, sensitizing the banks. That is what will bring in the confidence, will enhance their confidence in, investing in solar. So that is what the requirement of the hour.
Great. And Saad from Green Essence.
I hate to be the one asking for the money, but there it is. It is what it is. The banks are no more. We cannot ask for neither regulations nor partnerships with banks in Lebanon. We're doing the work that the bank used to do, and luckily we have V4F to help us with better access to finance with the low interest rates, and this is what we need. We're already set up to do everything else. We just need to scale up with more money. So that's it. Give us the money.
Great, very clear, very precise, and I had full confidence that you all would answer this question within 15 to 20 seconds because you'll come up with your request, and all very valid, and tending towards different issue, not just about taking the solution, but also on the empowerment of women and smallholder groups. So thanks a lot. I think it's been a very interesting discussion. Thanks all of you for sharing your thoughts. You all are busy, you all do the challenging work in the field and provide your solutions which help the future generation to be more climate smart and mitigate the risks coming in future. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all your answers. We're not going away. We have 10 minutes. So we'll now show the answers to the second audience poll that we did. And then we'll take a couple of questions from the audience. Let's see the response to the second question. Okay, so you have worked with end user financing and how effective it has been. So almost 80% of you agree that it is either very effective or at least somewhat effective. So it's a key part of sustainably scaling water, energy, food innovations that help us in fighting climate change, and it's just takes your products, solutions to the smallholder farmers for whom for long it has been inaccessible. So great to see these polls, and we'll have like 10 minutes to go through any audience questions if we have. Okay, so I think there's one question. How do you decide on credit worthiness of the end user or a smallholder, right? And Pierrette, if I can ask you this question to answer this question.
Yes, we have a basic business plan model dedicated to agri, which enable us to know to identify where in the value chain they are by identifying the customer and also the key service provider. We also have a simple, very basic financial statements that we help him to build. And going through this analysis, we are able to identify the capacity. But most importantly, we train them and we explain them that they need to build a strong relationship with the value chain, which can be a cooperative or a big company, for example, in the cassava, a transformer. Based on the different cycle of production or sell they have made with this actor, we are able to track the transaction volume that they have built through that. And based on this, we are able to extract the reimbursement capacity. We just transform the normal financing process into a basic affordable information that we are able to process. But as I said, the key is the strong man of the chain, because he's the one securing the financial piece. So it's very basic, but through this simplified business model, we are able to identify them and know exactly how they are able to reimburse the loan.
Great, thanks, Pierrette. And Tim, your model is paper produced, but there's some level of credit worthiness check that you would also do. So any thoughts from you on this question?
Yes. So before we contract a farmer, we do an ODK survey. We also visit the chief of the respective farmer. We talk to the chief to see what are his thoughts. Chiefs, they normally are very proud on the community. They don't like to have bad reputations. So yeah, we found it a very good one. And then our ODK survey, we have a lot of questions. And the third control check we do before we contact the farmer is sending our outreach officer and having a meet and greet with the farmer as well. If all those three components are positive, then we go ahead and contact the farmer. So far, we have a very low dropout. Out of the 150 farmers at the moment, we have 3 farmers drop out. So that's pretty decent on our side.
Great. And a classic example of making decisions where there is less data available. So great. Informal ways of age-old methods helping sometimes. I think we'll take one final question, which is interesting. What kind of partnerships are needed, if any, for successful implementation of end-user financing model? I believe for implementation of end-user finance model, every model may need certain partnership, but let's hear from our innovators. On this one, we'll go to Antra first, and then we'll hear it from Anisa as well. Antra, what kind of partnerships are needed for successful implementation? You can also say what kind of partnership to avoid for not failing.
Yeah, I mean, when I say about first loss guarantee corpus, so we being into the technology and into the operational, so we cannot invest so much of stock of fund in, we cannot keep that on parking lot. So we need help. Like we have been helped by our sister concern NGO, Switch On Foundation, for creating this first loss guarantee corpus for us, where we just we don't have to keep a certain amount of money parking if we are going into the FLDG model for anything. So one partnership is there if we are blessed with that, like we are blessed with our sister concern, and especially with banks. Yes, of course we need to have banks. So the FLDG corpus is made for the banks. So the first and foremost, the first step is towards bank, the financial institutions. MFIs, yes, for soft loans, it is fine, absolutely. But yeah, these are some of the partnership that we see has been successful in our model. So would suggest if this could be practiced, and yeah, somebody has to park some amount of money for your, that guarantee corpus for the farmers, on behalf of the farmers.
Definitely, great. Anisa, it could be different in your case. So what kind of partnerships are needed, or some partnerships that have been successful for you in implementing end-user financing?
So for us, as I mentioned earlier, our partnerships were pretty intuitive. So we partnered with government entities, including the Ministry of Agriculture, and as well as key players in the agricultural value chain, like Moroccan seed producers or big food production companies. These type of partnerships were successful for us because they had access to the market segment that we were looking for, which was smallholder farmer, and yeah, so that was what was pretty successful for us.
Great, thanks, Anisa. And Irene, one question for you. Are there any end-user financing model that are not mentioned in this panel that are worthy of mention or are interesting?
Thank you, Jatin. I think what was mentioned earlier with the Punam Energy with the first loss guarantee is very, very interesting. A model that we've seen in Yemen, which is, I wouldn't say similar, but I think in essence it's quite similar, where it's a payback model because so basically if a bank or an MFI finances a technology and the business model is not working, there's a kind of like a payback guarantee. We've seen that case, which was actually very interesting, but you probably need to have some sort of strong financial backing to be able to do that. And another model which some of the Lebanese innovators may be experimenting with, given the situation with the financial system there as well, is for a credit-worthy entity or a credit-worthy person or an association to take the loan on the behalf of the farmers and then share, it's kind of like a pay-per-use system. Once they take the model, then once they get the financing, this credit-worthy entity, then they kind of invest in the technology and then ask the farmers to pay per use to be able to pay back to pay back the capex to the financial institutions. So these are the two models that I can think of off the top of my mind. But of course, those that were mentioned today are really, really innovative, and I'm really also interested to learn more about them following this panel. But thank you, Jatin.
Great. And with that, I think there's one more interesting model that I've been seeing is the crowdfunding model, where people are companies with crowdfunding platforms are creating crowdfunding campaign, which are normally done for like smaller projects, humanitarian projects. But I think that aspect is changing for SME financing as well. And there are these kind of models that we have put in our V4F end user financing guidebook as well, which is launched today. And the link has been sent in the chat as well. So this is focused on innovators. So when our language would be innovator focused, but it will definitely give a lot of knowledge and focus on what are innovators' challenges, what different type of models are there, what about the previous models and why they didn't work for especially for water, energy, food nexus innovators, and going forward what would be done by models like donor funding, guarantees, value chain financing, as one of our innovators also mentioned. So these are the new ways of integrating end user financing when the perennial institutions have not been that helpful. And that's why innovators are innovators, because they innovate and sometimes out of nothing to then take their solutions to the people who need it. So once again, on behalf of Water Energy for Food program, I thank each and every one of our panelists for participating, providing an engaging and enthusiastic discussion on one of the very important topic, end user financing, which helps focus towards smallholder farmers, and also bringing aspects of why it is so important to equally integrate gender into end user financing model, and also how you can do it. Two of our innovators spoke about it. We talked about challenges, perennial institution not helping, but how you can still work, right? Our innovators have still worked with government. They have worked with banks to get first loss guarantees. They have worked in partnership with different other financial institution investors. Microfinance institution are not just giving money, but they are with money, they're providing market access. And so these are the things that we have seen today. So it's not just end user financing, is not just about money, but keeping the smallholder at the center of your focus, and that will help the innovators to take their solution and be financial sustainable. So it's a win-win for everyone. And also the last but not the least, the request Obviously, innovator needs money. They need partnerships. They need low default rates, so awareness, financial literacy, inclusion of all communities, breaking norms of marginalization. So I think these are the different things, and also legal regulations and regulatory environment that help their models flourish and not become a barrier. So with that, I would end this session, and I would like to thank all the audience for patiently listening to us and for your questions. Thanks a lot, everyone, for participating from different time zones. I appreciate your time, and we'll meet again soon. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you all.
Thank you, Yatin. Well done.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.